I mean, I don't have to be friends with him. I'm not racist, but I don't want my daughter to marry a black guy, just period. Why? Give me a reason. Why do you think that is, or how do you think, give me a reason, how do you think that's not a racist comment? That's deep down in you, that you think you are better than someone else based on their color. And let's not even talk about the Indians, the Pakistanis, the Nepalis. That's a whole different discussion with the Arabs or even the North Africans. Really, I'm not sure because I never had a discussion with them. And when you tell them, for me, because I noticed even way worse racism. There's a difference between racism in North Africa, 100%, and the racism in the Middle East and the Arab world is a whole different level. I can tell you that the racism in North Africa is really based on lack of knowledge. You know, giving the passport for the security. It's always the same. There's no way this is your brother. There's no way this is your sister. There is no way you guys are family. Like, because he's the dark child and we are all like the white kids in the family. That's why when I grew up, I never ever saw color. I never understood there is really a difference between me and my brother or between me and my cousin who is super dark. I never thought it's an issue. It hurt me so bad when I heard these comments towards my brother. He used to also tell me obviously that the police in Germany would also stop him every now and then, just obviously based on him being a guy and an immigrant child and looks super dark with his beard as a Muslim guy in Europe. I have never ever been stopped. I have never ever been dealt with in a bad way. I'm a Muslim girl who wears hijab ever since I'm 11. I should also be actually affected by these attributes that I show to the world. However, I have never been. But growing up, having someone in your family actually going through that racism is so made me feel like, not I have to speak up for every single person, it just did not make sense to me how on earth is someone that looks just slightly different than us is treated in a completely different way. And I started noticing this because when I got older, obviously, and I used to go to the beach, to Tunis, and like I said, I enter Tunis, I'm like a white kid. Obviously, I go to the beach on a daily basis and I come out being, you know, super tan and super dark. And my family, and I remember this neighbor, she would always say, oh my God, you used to be so pretty. What happened to you in the last couple of weeks? Now you're so, you know, they don't want to say ugly, but so, ooh, like, do something. You know, we have specific creams in Tunis and specific masks that keeps you white, and all that mentality that a white person or someone with a lighter skin, let's not say white person because we still obviously not white people, but someone with a lighter skin has always is always more beautiful, is always more pure. Many people want to speak to them, many people want to surround themselves with, and if you're dark, technically, oh yeah, he's nice, she's cute, but I mean, come on, she's a dark girl. You know, how many comments did I hear about, yeah, he's gonna marry this, yeah, but she's dark. Wallahi. And okay, let's continue.
Hello guys, good morning, or it's good evening. Good evening, Africans, wherever you are. I greet you. Hello, shalom. Now I have a question for you. When you hear of the country Dubai, what comes into your mind first? When you hear Dubai, you think of Burj Khalifa. It's such a powerful thing to hold on to your name, having the world's tallest building. And also Dubai is one of the richest country. And now, many Africans are looking towards moving to this part of the world, moving to these Arab nations. Yeah, many Africans are looking towards moving there. And when they have that opportunity, many will cling on them. Actually, many of our families are living there, if I'm not wrong. I personally have family members who've gone there, who've worked, who maybe are still working over there. But there is another story you don't know. Another story with the Arab world. This is not a question of Dubai. This is a question of the Arab world. And actually, a report was given by the African Union website. You can just check this on the African Union website. They have a website. The first paragraph, the first line of the first paragraph says, over 28 million migrants are resided in GCC. GCC countries is the Gulf countries, by 2017, with 12% from Africa. So 12% of 28 million migrants in the GCC are Africans. And now you might ask yourself, what are these Arab countries? In total, we have 22 Arab countries. And Arab countries have touched Asia, and they have touched Africa. I will include countries such as Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Egypt, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Djibouti, Mauritania, and the Comoros Islands. These are countries that are holding a number, or rather they are called African Arab countries. Yes, so we also can say we have black Arabs, because people in Sudan are very dark. They are very dark. But if we have countries calling themselves black Arabs, why do we have a problem with the dark tone? Why do the Arabs have a problem with the dark tone? That is a question we are going to answer in this video. And now we are going to watch this video that was done by an Arab girl. Remember, I told you in Africa we have 10 countries that call themselves Arab nations. So we want to have a glimpse of this video, and then we shall react on it by the end of the video, where we shall also have a deep critical analysis.
Regardless if it's even against my own self or my family, this topic that I'm going to talk about is, to me, the most important topic, and it's a very sensitive topic in the Muslim world and in the Arab world, which I have dealt with all my life, and it's very dear to my heart, as I have witnessed numerous and countless of encounters when it comes to racism. But however, it has never been towards me, so this is why I'm speaking out for the rest of the people. And I'm not sure if you should see this video as a wake-up call, as a reminder, as a storyteller. I really don't know, but I really felt, and I know if I have a voice, regardless if I have a small following base or whatsoever, it has to be said and it has to be addressed. Like I mentioned, it's in regards to racism in the Muslim community, mostly in the Arab world, I would say in the Middle Eastern world. However, I will definitely include the North Africans. So just a quick background, I'm a Tunisian from North Africa, if someone doesn't know where Tunisia is. And I have been born and raised in Germany, so technically I just lived maybe 1 or 2 years in Tunisia when I was a child, first grade and kindergarten, so I don't really recall a lot. But I used to fly back to Tunis every summer, stayed there for 6 weeks, so I know exactly how people think there. And obviously I lived in Germany with a Muslim community that's mainly dominantly was North Africans and 99% Tunisians, so I can definitely speak out, and I know the ins and outs, and I know how they think, I know how I think, I know where we're lacking, I know how the Arab world also thinks. As I lived also in the Middle East for 7 years, I just left the Middle East, the Qatar region, and I guess we should just dive right into it. So growing up in Germany as an ethnic person, as an immigrant child, I never saw myself actually as an immigrant child or as someone who's an outcast. I never ever had any encounters, any racist movements, maybe on a later stage, but they never really bothered me. But in my family, we are 4 siblings. 3, me, my sister, and my brother have pretty much light skin, like super, super white. And my 4th and youngest brother has actually a dark skin, which is, nowadays you can say he's, I don't know, he's, yeah, light skin for someone who's African. But he is pretty dark skinned for me, or compared to me and my siblings, and compared also for the Tunisian world. So, okay, let me get the, for the North African world. He might not even feel the way I felt when I used to hear comments about his color when he was younger. People used to say, "Oh, he looks Pakistani." You know, sometimes the problem is in the North African, and maybe also the Arab or every community. Actually, I'm not gonna pin it down to or narrow it down to us. they give comments without thinking how the other person feels, without any thoughts of how that might affect someone. I heard he looks like Pakistani, he's too dark. In Tunis, he told me himself, once he got slapped actually by a policeman because the policeman did not understand how on earth someone that dark, and I'm not saying my brother is super dark. Obviously, if you would see pictures, you'd be like, what's wrong with you? But he is actually dark compared to us, like I said. So for a Tunisian policeman, he was not understanding why. He told him literally, someone with your color lives in Germany and I am in Tunis. And these things just stick with me. And even like at the immigration, my brother and my other brother are being together and, you know, giving the passport for the security. It's always the same. There's no way this is your brother. There's no way this is your sister. There's no way you guys are family. Like, because he's the dark child and we are all like the white kids in the family. That's why when I grew up, I never ever saw color. I never understood there is really a difference between me and my brother or between me and my cousin who is super dark. I never thought it's an issue. It hurt me so bad when I heard these comments towards my brother. He used to also tell me obviously that the police in Germany would also stop him every now and then, just obviously based on him being a guy and an immigrant child and looks super dark with his beard as a Muslim guy in Europe. I have never ever been stopped. I have never ever been dealt with in a bad way. I'm a Muslim girl who wears hijab ever since I'm 11. I should also be actually affected by these attributes that I show to the world. However, I have never been. But growing up, having someone in your family actually going through that, racism is so made me feel like, not I have to speak up for every single person, it just did not make sense to me how on earth is someone that looks just slightly different than us is treated in a completely different way. And I started noticing this because when I got older, obviously, and I used to go to the beach, to Tunis, and like I said, I enter Tunis, I'm like a white kid. Obviously, I go to the beach on a daily basis and I come out being, you know, super tan and super dark. And my family, and I remember this neighbor, she would always say, oh my God, you used to be so pretty. What happened to you in the last couple of weeks? Now you're so, you know, they don't want to say ugly, but so, ooh, like, do something. You know, we have specific creams in Tunis and specific masks that keeps you white, and all that mentality that a white person or someone with a lighter skin, let's not say white person because we still obviously not white people, but someone with a lighter skin has always is always more beautiful, is always more pure. Many people want to speak to them, many people want to surround themselves with, and if you're dark, technically, oh yeah, he's nice, she's cute, but I mean, come on, she's a dark girl. You know, how many comments did I hear about, yeah, he's gonna marry this, yeah, but she's dark. Wallahi. And okay, let's continue. The problem is that some people don't even know they are racist, and the comments that are giving, and the comments that are, you know, the words that are coming out of their mouth are so hurtful. I really do not understand how someone else feels, because I'm not in their shoes. I'm not black, I'm not even brown, and I feel it deep in my heart and I feel it deep in my soul that you make someone else feels less worthy than you because his color. I find it very funny because to other people, there is always someone who's whiter than you, and there's always someone who's darker than you. So technically, if these, you know, in my childhood, these comments have been made, I always wanted to say, because I was too young, obviously I never said something, and I'm like, in my head, but a German person thinks I'm dark, and I'm white for an North African girl, and maybe a Finnish girl, you know, a German person is way too dark for her, because Finnish and Swedish people, or the Nordics, are, you know, so white that you can barely see them. It's like, there is always someone who's lighter than you. Go to Syria and Lebanon, you will see girls that are so white, and so what? I'm not even going to go into details about the first call of prayer in the times of the Prophet Muhammad, Bilal, who was dark. He was a freed slave, and he was called by the Prophet to make the adhan as the first ever call to prayer. Mu'adhan, we would say. Do you think back in the days they cared about black and not black? They cared, but I'm talking about the Prophet, I'm talking about the Islam, I'm talking about our religion, that we constantly say, oh my God, that, you know, the people who would, what bugs me is the people who are praying and believing in God, and the people who are crying in the Taraweeh and during Ramadan, Tahajjud and all these things, Salat al-Jumu'ah or the Friday prayers. People would cry and people would ask God for forgiveness, and people would, I don't know, feed the needy and stuff, not knowing their foundation in life is based on being a goddamn racist. And when I always used to ask my friends and be like, dude, that comment you just made is unbelievable. They say, no, I'm not a racist, but I mean, I don't have to be friends with him. I'm not racist, but I don't want my daughter to marry a black guy, just period. Why? Give me a reason. Why do you think that is, or how do you think, give me a reason, how do you think that's not a racist comment? That's deep down in you, that you think you are better than someone else based on their color. And let's not even talk about the Indians, the Pakistanis, the Nepalis. That's a whole different discussion with the Arabs or even the North Africans. Really, I'm not sure because I never had a discussion with them. And when you tell them, for me, because I noticed even way worse racism. There's a difference between racism in North Africa, 100%, and the racism in the Middle East and the Arab world is a whole different level. I can tell you that the racism in North Africa is really based on lack of knowledge. No one thinks I'm better than the other person. No one thinks I'm higher, I'm whiter, because obviously towards the end we're all Africans, or you are Amazigh, or I don't know, your blood is Arab, or whatever they think they are. I had an encounter, for example, with my mom. I mean, when you start being honest, you have to be honest all the way. This encounter happened, I don't know, 10 years ago? 10 years ago, I believe. And one of my, okay, I think my sister will not like this, but she was in a relationship with someone who was African American, but he was Muslim. So obviously I grew up all my life never ever having any discussions about racism, because my dad raised me in a way that I'm Muslim, period. I have not even been raised as you are Muslim Sunni, you are following the Maliki madhab, you are this and this color, your great-grandparents are Arab or Amazigh or whatsoever. I have never had these discussions with my father. He just made sure we identify as human and Muslim, and I cannot thank God and my parents for that. That really, like, if I see my friends and all the people around me, all the discussions and all the topics about them being, I don't know, they are this, they are that, but no, I'm this and that, and I'm always the only one in the group. I'm like, why does it even matter? It's cool to know what you are, it's cool to know your DNA or your ancestors, but why does it even matter? Because once that discussion starts, it's not gonna end. You think you're better than this person, you think you're better than the Moroccan person, or the Syrian person thinks he's better than, I don't know, the Jordanian thinks he's better than a Khaliji. It's not gonna end. That's why I love the way I have been raised, and I have been blind to colors, religions, whatever. You are a goddamn human. So this encounter was, like I said, my sister was engaged. No, the guy wanted to, you know, ask for her hand in marriage, and she told my mom, and my mom found out he is African American. She didn't understand what it means, obviously, back in the days. So we said, yeah, he's black. I didn't think we did have to say that, but it just, you know, happened that we said that, and she was shocked. She was so shocked that it's not gonna happen. She couldn't find words that it's really gonna happen in her own family, that her own daughter is being with African American. The funny part is she didn't even realize what she's saying is racist. That's why I'm telling you, there's a huge difference between you are really deep down hardcore racist and what you say, you know what you say, and you still continue, you know, proving your point, or you just really didn't realize what you say is so bad and so wrong that actually you're considered racist. So I remember I had my sister-in-law. She's been discussing the topic with my mom, and I obviously as well, because at that time I was living in America, and it is really not easy to make someone understand their point of views. Because when I used to tell her, Mom, what you say, and I was infuriated, I was so sad, I was so shocked, it hurt me so bad that my own mom thinks that way, where the entire family doesn't think that way, considering my brother is being dark as well. But the comment would be like, yeah, but my son is, you know, he's cute, he's, you know, he's cute, he's I don't know what. And the amount of time that we took the time to speak to my mom, to make her understand. And when I just said one sentence actually, and she felt so bad, and subhanAllah, it changed her perception from today to tomorrow. It changed her perception overnight. You can really make someone like give him a wake-up call or a slap in the face, without obviously slapping your parents. And I told her, I'm not going to give you, Mom, I'm not going to give you, you know, what happened back in the days with the Prophet and Bilal and Mu'adhin and all that, the story that we always bring up when it comes to black people. Allah, who created me, you, and the whole world. He created also, obviously, the Africans, the Indians, the Pakistanis. How, if you are refusing someone based on his skin color, forget even the fact that you're racist. You are refusing and rejecting what God created. Sorry, let that sink in. You are refusing what Allah created. He decided that I have the skin color. He decided that that person is going to be African hardcore, because obviously we have light skin, we have dark skin. He is deciding on every single thing on earth. How do you think you have a different say in this?
To what the sister has said here concerning her religion and the belief that the Islamic religion have upon human race in general, as opposed to being Arabs. One of the things that we mostly ignore is that if you are an Arab, you are an Islam, and if you are not an Arab, you are not an Islam. We have Arabs who are Christians as well. We have black people who are not Arabs and are Islams. Simple logic. Outside here, we have Muslims, we have mosques. Even in my village, we have a mosque, and my village is surrounded by black people. Now, the sister is bringing out the argument of God created human beings and he made them how he wanted. We are just creations. We are just creations. And the creation cannot be more important than the creator. The creation cannot ask the creator. It's like the pot. The pot cannot ask the potter, why have you made me like this? The potter is the one who decides the design. So Africans, the way we look at ourselves right now, this lady is also an African. And let me tell you one thing. We have African ladies who are way lighter than her. African ladies speaking African languages. We have them. I have one in my village, in my very own village. A light-skinned African. We have such instances. But now, people have to realize that being an African or being light or being what does not make you less of a human. I love how he confronted her mother and he asked her mother, Mom, are you saying that Bilal is, I think Bilal was a servant to the Prophet Muhammad in the Quran. He was a servant and he was black. I believe Muhammad was not black. Muhammad was like the people of his times. Muhammad was most likely an Arab. He had the tone of those people during his time. But Bilal, it says in the Quran, he was black. I have not read the Quran, but I normally hear of this. If Muhammad himself accepted a black servant, who are the servants? Who are the followers of Muhammad to deny it? Who are they? Who do they think they are? Now the mom says she's not racist, but she is. Sometimes we might be holding those bad characters in us, and we don't know we are holding these bad characters until a situation comes out and a situation reveals who we truly are. That is why I always say it's always good to test yourself with instances. Test yourself, have exposures, learn cultures. If you're able to travel. It will create and it will amplify your exposure to the rest of the world. Let's continue.
You know, and then it really hits you. If you are a true believer, you switch in a second. Because her reason was, I was never really aware, and her comments was obviously, I know that my parents are not racist, and I know a lot of North Africans are not racist. They are just not used to have Africans around them. My mom never was raised with Africans. She never saw them in Tunis. She just sees them on TV, you know, like for example, maybe the rap music video clips, etc. And with time, she is so shocked actually how other people think about it. I said, Mom, remember back in the days how you used to see it? You're not a racist. It's just you were not really educated. So number one, you really have to educate people around you, your parents, your friends, your colleagues, whatsoever. They might not be racist, they just don't see the full picture. However, on the other side, we do have the big racists in the Middle East, where I lived for like 7 years. I saw with my own eyes, I heard, and I know, even if I would have discussions with them, they say, I don't care. Huwa, like, he is African, I don't care. He is Pakistani, I don't care. He is Indian. As if you, as an Arab with your light skin, have a higher stage in Jannah compared to these people with a slightly darker color. Honestly speaking, and this video could go on and on and on and on, we could actually completely sum this up. And I swear to God, if people, every single Muslim person who considers himself Muslim, a believer, I'm not just saying you've been born Muslim. This topic is obviously more addressed to the Muslim people, not to the whole human race. Because we have one thing that can diminish this, we have one thing that can diminish the way we think completely in a second. I swear to God, if you sit down with yourself, if you think just about one thing, first of all, Allah, obviously, who created you, the blacks, the people of color, the browns, I don't know what, who, every single thing, the stones, the trees, the leaves, the animals, everything. He created and he chose. I'm not going to tell you, be grateful that you got the skin color, because that skin color means nothing. That doesn't mean you are a better believer. It doesn't mean that you are better than anyone. It doesn't mean that you are, you know, more pious or more religious. Actually, it means that you are less religious than other people because you have this point of view in life. If you just think for maybe, I swear to God, 5, let's say 15 seconds, that you are having a discussion with the Prophet, and you are in the presence of the Prophet, and you would have this discussion and say, I'm sorry, this guy cannot marry my daughter. I'm sorry, that person, I cannot even sit with him. He's too dark. I don't want him in my house. I don't want anything to do with him. They are less than me. I'm better. I have a whiter skin. Just imagine yourself, you're sitting in the presence of the Prophet ﷺ, and you say these words. Won't you feel ashamed? Like, not you feel ashamed. Don't you think the Prophet would be so ashamed and disappointed to a level that you would want to, I don't know, would just want to vanish in a second that you even had that thought once in your life? If people would stop if people would just seriously think they could one day see the Prophet and have this discussion with them, but they really will continue to think, oh no, what, my opinion is still right, knowing that they're being racist and knowing racism is not okay at any point in Islam. Because once, like I said, once you reject that person, once you think you are higher than someone else or you are better than someone else, I fail to understand how people think that way, and I fail to understand how they say they are religious, and I fail to understand that there are really the people who go to Mecca, who do the tawaf, people who are, you know, doing their sujood, people who are praying to God. I fail to understand. And the funniest point is, you are making fun of these people and you think you're better than these people, and live in Europe or America or Canada, wherever you live, and you have always someone else make you feel you're not good enough because of your skin color, because of your religion, because you're an ethnic person, because your language is not really pure and fluent. And yet, whatever is being forced upon you, you're being oppressed, or you're being discriminated, or you face racism in your life, you are continuing the same cycle to someone else. But yet call yourself a Muslim. To me, it's a disgrace. To me, it's a disgrace. It's the most disgusting thing I've ever lived with, I ever heard. I can give you even stories as a girl, again, with super fair skin, and I have friends who are mostly Sudanese, mostly Africans. We get along. I don't know, it's not obviously intended to have only African friends. And countless and numerous of times while I was living in the Gulf, I heard the comment that, why would you even sit with them? Why would a girl like you be friends with them? Why would a girl like you date someone who's, I don't know, Sudanese, Nigerian, whatsoever? Why? They are not presentable. You cannot go with them to a hotel. It's so embarrassing. How many times did I see people stopping, wallahi stopping, when they see me sit with a black guy, and people who know me? Why? They think it just doesn't get into their brain, as if me being with a white guy or me having white friends is gonna make life better, or they're gonna improve my life, or we're gonna have the same jokes, or it's not even that me looking for black people, obviously not. When it happens, it happens. When the vibes are right, when the vibes are right. But it's just hurt me so many times knowing that they know, they feel when people stop and stare. They know when they say, when they hear the comments from the people. I just sometimes really don't know what to say. I heard so many things while being with them, and I'm like, it's disgusting. But we, honestly speaking, we do have to stand up for them. Sometimes they don't stand up for themselves. You know why? Because they heard it so many times that they don't even bother anymore. But it does bother. It does bother when you say you're a goddamn Muslim person. It does bother, and it should bother, and it should be spoken to in that second, even if you're gonna have this for the rest of your life. And I know racism existed prior to Islam, it exists meanwhile, and it exists now, and it will exist forever. We're sure, we know this, it's no-brainer. However, it's our duty as Muslim people to stop it. Other than that, wallahi, I'm sorry, I don't know how you consider yourself a Muslim. I don't know how you identify as a Muslim.
Wow. Now, this young girl, her name is NOUSEBIA THABTI. NOUSEBIA THABTI is she's a Muslim girl, as she said, and she comes from the country of Tunisia. Now, she's done a very nice work on speaking about the issue within his own culture. It's not every day we find people speaking about their own culture. People will tend to protect that which is wrong within their own, so as to preserve the misbehavior or the misconducts. Now, the problem that these people are facing is that she sets it right. Just because somebody is black, you can't go to a hotel with him. You feel like walking with them will embarrass you. You feel like walking with them will make you down class, or will make you not having that sense of class. No. We also have some white people that even if we walk with, we don't feel the same. I personally, as Evans, I've met white ladies where I study. It's not like every time you find a white lady, they're always attractive. No. Attractiveness is something very, very different. It doesn't follow color. I myself have been attracted to very dark ladies, very, very dark, and I found them very appealing, very dark. Some men will choose very light, some men very dark. To me, I don't choose color. I don't. Be brown, white, black, no. She said that as long as there's vibe, that is what counts. We don't want to say, I like you because you are brown, I like you because you are this. We have a whole personality outside color. This issue of colorism should be addressed. And I'm always trying up and down to address this problem of colorism. Colorism is a pervasive form of discrimination based on skin tone and has left indelible mark on the history of northern African countries. To understand its origin and impact, we have to discuss the following. I always try and find out what's the real cause, what's the patient zero, who is the patient zero to this colorism problem. And here's the first instance of colorism. Guess where it happened? It happened here in Africa. It happened in ancient Egypt, to be precise. The earliest recorded instance of colorism can be tracked back to ancient Egypt, where skin tone played a significant role in social hierarchies. Lighter-skinned Egyptians were often associated with nobility, purity, and divinity, while darker-skinned individuals were relegated to lower social strata. Now, it's not an issue of colorism. It's not an issue of colonialism and slavery, as we always thought. I don't think we had white people colonizing Egypt back then. This is ancient Egypt, the era of the pharaohs. The 10 countries among the 22 are found in Africa, and among them is Egypt. There's a reason I told you that. So you have to understand, Arabs are not sharing the same skin color as the sub-Saharan Africa. And in ancient Egypt, having a lighter skin, you are associated with nobility, purity, divinity, while darker-skinned individuals were relegated to lower social strata, were the slaves, the people who do those lower jobs. Even today here in Africa, here in Kenya, my own country, when you look at those shops, M-Pesa shops, clothing shops, shops in the malls, you'll always find those ladies are having brown to white skin tone. It's very, very rare to find a darker skinned person. Very rare. Very, very rare. This shows you the extent to which this is a very problematic thing. The issue of colorism can only be addressed by the Most High God. He is the one who introduced colors, and he knows why. He knows way better why he did what he did. Another instance is slavery and colonialism contributing to this. Those are my neighbors. Sorry for that noise. Now, slavery and colonialism. Now, as I told you before, slavery and colonialism also took part on reinforcing color hierarchies. Slavery intensified colorism. European slave traders favored light-skinned captives, often biracial or with mixed heritage, over their darker counterparts. The mulatto people who class emerged, they enjoyed certain privileges due to their proximity to whiteness. This dynamic persisted during colonial rule. We also had colonial powers perpetuated colorism, imposing their own standards of beauty and reinforcing the superiority of lighter skin. It's always been reinforced. Somebody's always reinforcing light over black. Why is that? There's something about this black that people don't like. There is something about it. Now, media influences and contemporary colorism. The colorism we experience in the world today, modern media continues to shape perception of beauty. lighter-skinned actors, models, and public figures dominate screens and magazines. The light is right narrative persists, impacting self-esteem and opportunities for darker-skinned individuals. However, within predominantly black context in Northern Africa, this privilege doesn't always translate into advantages. This woman was very smart. You heard when she said, having a white friend or having a light-skinned or anything white does not make your life easier. Your life will still be the same. If you're suffering, you still suffer. Having a lighter-skinned friend will not help you no more. It won't. You will still face the same struggles you face. It won't make your life any easier. It will just be the way it is. It is you yourself to work on yourself. The privilege doesn't exist. Having light-skinned privilege doesn't exist. Now we have the fourth one, which is identity struggle and resilience. Identity struggles persist among children of immigrants. Questions of belonging, cultural roots, and acceptance shape their experiences. Research often focuses on non-white immigrants in Europe or Northern America, but similar tension exists within the African continent itself. It's intense here. Despite these challenges, many individuals and communities celebrate their melanin-rich heritage, challenging colorism norms. Hey, it's serious. Colorism is a serious thing. Just because you have somebody who is light-skinned shouldn't make your life easier or better. That's a point to take home. I think that's the greatest point I've taken from that video. Just be with who you feel you vibe with. Have friends who respect you. That is what counts. Color does not count. If a black friend does not respect you, then you ditch them. If a white friend is the one who respects you, keep them. But then if it is a white friend who disrespects you, ditch them. And if it is a black friend who respects you, you know what to do. Keep them. In summary, colorism runs deep in Northern African history, from ancient Egypt to present-day modern times. Acknowledging the history of colorism allows us to dismantle biases and celebrate the diverse beauty of the whole human race, because we only have one race, the human race. Yeah. I'm going to end the video here. If you find value in what I do, kindly give me a subscription. Giving super thanks might help. Be a member on our Patreon. Patreon really helps me bring you very, very enlightening content. Yes. Thank you for your continued support. Remember, I told you it was because of your support I was able to. You remember, I told you something about doing interviews with African Americans and the African diaspora. So very soon we are escalating heights. The sky is the limit, and because of you, I was able to achieve some of these things that we are going to use for this our project. Now, one of the things I did was I got this FX3 camera. This one, FX30 camera. It's an FX30. It really does well under extreme conditions. It's robust. It really does well under extreme conditions. And so, it's because of you that we are able to get such things. Yeah. Thank you, and may God bless you. Continue watching, share the videos, and shalom, shalom, shalom. God bless you. Shalom. Thank you for everything. Thank you so much. Remember, color does not equate friendship. Respect equates friendship. See you in the next one.